right, welcome to another episode of the Mortgage Mix Podcast. I'm Ralph Remy, your host, and today we are mixing it up with the one and only Rebecca Lorenz. Hey, Rebecca, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on here.
Well, today we are going to talk about leadership. So Rebecca and I are actually doing a presentation together about the importance of leadership, especially in today's market,
Right.
where our teams are looking for us as leaders to hold their hands a little bit, guide them. So what have you been seeing out in the marketplace, Rebecca, in your coaching sessions with leaders on how they are adapting to the current market environment?
Yes, I think that we're really in a crucial time for leaders. What I'm noticing is habits that served us really well a decade or even 5 years ago isn't what we need today. And so as a leader, it's twofold. It's stepping up and saying, how do I become the best version of myself so that then I'm the best leader for my team? And not only for my team as far as seeing where they're growing, what they need from me, who they are, what are their goals. But I'm seeing more than ever leaders coming together and saying, how do I improve my skill sets? How do I become a better version of myself for today's originator?
Yeah, so interesting you said today's originator. So a lot of originators today joined in the last 5-10 years. Right. So maybe haven't experienced a market like what we are going through today. So how as leaders can we help guide them a little bit towards success where they may not be seeing the results that they are hoping for, that they expect based on maybe the disciplines that they're doing the right things over and over again, but maybe not getting those results. How as leaders do we continue to encourage them to stay the course and go down that path?
You know, Ralph, you hit it on the head. It's a different skill set, especially those newer originators that are even in the last 5 years, last 10, we've got this newer generation of originators that haven't seen a market like this. And they're frustrated and their mindsets aren't where they should be to survive this. And we've seen some fallout in our industry. And I guess what really is coming to mind right now, and we've talked about this, is the law of incremental change. It's consistency. It's changing on the dial one little thing in June and one little thing in July and then one little thing in August. And all of a sudden this compounding starts happening. And incrementally with consistency, you start seeing the changes. So I'd say that's the biggest thing I'm seeing, but it's going back to the basics. I travel, Ralph travels as well. We meet a lot of originators and I'll hear conversations where they're saying, well, I just don't go to the office anymore. I don't have any business. And I want to say to them and like pull them aside and say, if you have nothing to do, get into the office because you have everything to do. How many calls are you committed to? What activities are you committed to? And I think leaders really need to take a step back and say, what are those basic foundational activities and habits that incrementally done consistently starts changing the results?
And I think as leaders as well, we need to help them celebrate the small wins because it's not all going to happen over the course of one day to the next. It just doesn't happen that way. And I remember I've had a lot of loan officers I've had under me during my production time. And they'd say, Ralph, I'm doing all the things that I know we're supposed to be doing, but nothing's hitting. But when something does hit, finally, celebrate it because that just keeps that momentum going. And, you know, kind of they say small wins over time lead to big success. Same exact thing. Just celebrate those small wins as we go through. There are leaders who are producing managers as well. How do we help them balance out managing their production when they have team members that still need that extra hand-holding, especially in this market?
I think it goes back to what we're talking about is consistency. If you're a top producer and you've got this team looking to you, first, it's going to come down to mindset. And I know we talk about mindset a lot, but if you're frustrated with the market or inventory or how your production's going, there's a ripple effect that happens that your team will feel that. So I think that's a really big one to remember, even though it sounds pretty simple, it's the big thing. And then secondly, it's teaching them the skill sets that helps them have that routine. Kind of thinking back to when you were first in the business, celebrating the small wins, and then having your own routine. You're helping your originators be consistent. But as a leader, I would think that I'm getting, for example, an application report every Monday morning. And then when I see Ralph has a new application or two, I'm like, Ralph, this is amazing. Tell me what you did. How did you make that win? Now, Ralph knows it, but I'm saying it because I want to show his wins. And I want him to tell me back what he did to earn those referrals. Because when he verbalizes it, he's like, oh, yeah, I went to that open house. It worked great. It's getting those things out in communication.
Well, it's interesting you say about sharing your wins. So there's an opportunity even within your team meetings to do that.
Yeah.
So ask her. You already know the answer because you've heard the success story from your loan officer, but maybe going, Rebecca, share with the team what led to your 2 applications last week or 3 applications, because those little things others can learn from. So you're using the success of one to coach many in that particular case.
And sharing the wins and that ripple effect.
Yeah.
We have to focus on the small wins because it's retention, it's keeping spirits high, it's motivation. And you know, Ralph, another thing I was thinking about is as a leader, and you're one personality and you do business one way, but then maybe you've got 10 originators that are 10 different personalities and they originate 10 different ways and they have 10 different skill sets or 10 different vital few. I think it's worth a moment to stand back and say, how do I understand each person's personality? Understand their learning modalities. How does Susie learn best? What is her vital few? What is she great at? And how do I help her really leverage that? Thinking more granular as far as how you help them show up as the best version of themselves in their own way. Because we have our own natural skill sets that can help us shine.
I hear a lot of times people are kind of saying, let's survive into 25. You heard that a lot. And
yes.
we know we both despise that,
we despise
that theme out there. And something I brought with my team is let's thrive into 25. So let's use 2024 as a nice springboard into what is going to be great in the future.
Right.
But there's some great things happening right now. So it's taking those small disciplines, taking those small wins, like you said, and just building that foundation. I love how people say they build their business plans as if it's a switch is going to happen at the beginning of the next year. No, you're building your momentum. So really nothing changes. The only thing you're doing is tweaking your plan as things are changing in the environment. So there's opportunities there as leaders for us to set the tone, because if you're coming in survival mode, if you're coming in just get through the day mode or negativity mode, that passes on to your team. So you want to make sure as a leader, you're bringing that thriving mentality into the future and your team will feed off that.
And in that saying, what you focus on expands.
Yes.
When you focus on opportunities, guess what? You're going to see more opportunities in today's market than anyone else is seeing.
Yes.
And I know it's a tougher market and there's some things that people are waiting for to turn. But you know what? There's a lot of opportunity that's being brought with this market as well. And as leaders, if we can focus on those opportunities, not only what they are, but what you're going to do about it and talk about that and create this culture of this abundant mindset, it isn't just, lip service or something you say. It is an entire cultural shift that you start feeling.
I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I know you're presenting later on, as I am as well with you on this leadership topic. But just know, and I guess it's a perfect metaphor to how we're recording this session today of the Mortgage Mix podcast. We're standing on a balcony with a pretty good rainstorm that's happened since yesterday behind us. So just know, even though there's rainy days here, there's always a sunny day ahead of us. And I think the same is true for our market. So if you haven't downloaded your podcast, find us, like us on YouTube, on the Mortgage Mix podcast, National MI, or just wherever you download your podcast, make sure to follow us so you're always aware when our next episode will come. And always remember to check out National MI University on our website. Rebecca's always there doing presentations for us. You want to check us out and get additional content from us. So on behalf of Rebecca, we wish you all a great rest of the day. We'll see you soon in the Mortgage Mix podcast. Take care, everybody.
Thanks.